Oh yeah, we're live. We're ready. It's happening. Thank you, Zoom, for letting me know. I'm so glad. All right, y'all. Welcome to this class. This is number one in a really exciting series that I have for you. So jump on in, jump on in. Welcome to the La Libre party. We're here to do fun, casual PD for world language teachers that is always and forever free. And here we are today talking about something that I know happens a lot. I get asked a lot. It was a huge topic and question in the recent conference this summer, Practical and Comprehensible, about what happens if I'm trying to start with CI, or maybe you've been on this path for a while and your department isn't on board, or your colleagues are not really interested in going in the same direction as you. So I have some ideas for you today. Welcome to the live class, y'all. If you're watching live or if you're on the replay live, we're happy to have you. Post in the comments, where are you watching from? What city? Because I always love to know where you're watching from. I'm curious. And then tell me, what are you going to be having for dinner? I'm low-key real hungry. I'm training for a 10K right now, and it's like the biggest thing that I've ever tried to train for. And I'm starving. I'm really, really hungry right now. So right after this class, I'll be eating a snack, but let me know, what are you having for dinner? Because I'm really curious. All right, now, if you're new around these parts, my name is Devin, and I am the teacher, author, and presenter behind La Libre Language Learning for French teachers, or La Libre Language Learning if you teach Spanish. I used to teach both. Now I work behind the scenes full time with you to help support you in your classroom and provide you PD and cool stuff like this. My specialty is curriculum, but I do love to talk about things like this that might be a sticky part in your journey towards getting more towards proficiency style practices, and they don't necessarily need to be. I'm going to show you today some things that you can do and some ways of thinking that might make it a lot easier for you to bear the idea that you might be flying solo on this whole CI thing. So let's jump right into it. And I'm going to jump to the comments here too, so that I can see what you're having for dinner, because I totally want to see. Let me check in here that we're live and everything's working. Yay, it looks like we're good. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Colleen. Hey, from Indiana. I'm making popcorn right now, so probably no dinner. Colleen, popcorn, then din, okay? And share some of that popcorn with me virtually. I would love that. I love popcorn. And homemade popcorn, kudos to you. I love homemade popcorn. It's like the best. I make mine with olive oil. It's my fave. All right, let's get into this. Right. Okay, so I'm setting a timer here because I'm determined to make this class only 20 minutes, because 20 minutes is all you need to get this rolling. So let me get sharing my screen here so that we can get rolling here. Okay, y'all. So put in the chat too, the comments, whatevs, whatever you like to call it. Tell me while I'm getting this set up, are you either a department of one, or do you have colleagues that you work with? I've done both while I was still in the classroom. So let me know what your situation is. And then let me know what drew you to this class. Is it that you are starting with CI and you're trying to figure out how you're going to balance the reactions of your colleagues? Or, well, I mean, CI is not really a method. It's the necessary ingredient in all proficiency style methods, but it is kind of like a tag term that everybody knows, right? But just so that we're clear, comprehensible input is the ingredient. It's not necessarily the method. It's just what's present in all methods that use proficiency. I'm gonna bring my microphone closer too, because it's my buddy. Or are you maybe a department of one, and maybe you just feel really solo because you are working in a school where nobody really understands why you're doing things so differently in your classroom than they are? Because that's real. That's kind of the same thing as like my department might not be on board. Maybe parents aren't on board. Maybe the school isn't on board with what you're doing. Whatever it might be, you just don't feel like you're supported at school with what's going on. Or you might be in category number 3, where maybe you're just worried about it. Like you've heard other people maybe say things along the lines of, it's a great idea, but I just don't have time to do that right now. I used to hear that all the time from my amazing colleagues when I used to still be in the classroom, is that don't get it twisted, my colleagues were amazing, but they also, most of them weren't really interested in starting more proficiency aligned methods because they've been teaching for a long time and they had their own thing going. So let me remind you before we get started into these to put which one are you in the chat below, because the reason why is because I bet you're not alone. I promise you that you're not alone in your thinking. And also grab the schedule that's in the discussion part of this, and I'll put it in the comments after class, after our 20-minute class. That's totally going to happen. I'm notorious for going over time, so I'm making sure that it happens today. Y'all watch me. As soon as it's 20 minutes, put in the comments. Grab the schedule below because this is the first of a series of, I think it's either 10 or 11 classes. Dang, I printed it out and put it over there. But the last class is November 3rd. We're doing this every Wednesday, same time, same place, 4 p.m. EST, and you can always watch the replays, but I've got a whole schedule for you. And the series is all about starting with CI, getting a nice jump into your year with quick, fun lessons on how you can make your whole journey to proficiency just that much easier. So let's get started. What's my department and on board? First, hey, we already talked about this. Let's hang out. If you have questions after this presentation, you can reach me here, Devin at lalibrelanguagelearning.com. You can also find the replays of this show as well as a whole curriculum series on YouTube. I hang out on TPT as La Libre Language Learning. By the way, all of these social channels, you can find me there, La Libre Language Learning. Just type it in wherever you're at. I also have a blog, lalibrelanguagelearning.com, where you can find a lot of ideas there. I'm talking fast because I want to make sure I make my time, but don't worry. You will be able to get all this info as well. What did I just click on so it's not working? Oh, here we go. All right, cool. Before we start, let me slow down for a sec. Set your intention, set your action plan. What are you going to get out of our time together? So we got 15 minutes left. What are you going to get out of our time together? This thing is so cool. All right, I have to pause for a second. I got a Fitbit in order to help me with my 10K training plan. So also put in the comments whether you're live or replay. Have you ever trained for something like that before, like a 5K race? Are you a runner? Because give me all the tips. I'm new to this. I was an athlete in college, but I've definitely been slacking. So I'm ready for all the tips. I called my sister to help me. And I got a Fitbit in order to help me. And this thing is awesome. I'm really enjoying it, like getting all my steps in. And it's got all these cool tools on it. So if you have a Fitbit, let me know. But point of the story being, time is your most valuable asset. This thing is really helping me keep time right now because your time is important. So we're going to keep this class short and sweet and to the point, because I listen to my community. And one of the things that people said is that it can be hard to watch a long class. So we're doing a short and sweet class today. What are you going to get out of our time today? What's one thing that you're really hoping to learn from this class today? Because I know you're not just sitting back there oh yeah, I'm just going to hang out on FB Live. I've got so much time. No, I know that's not true. So what are you going to get out of this time today? And then I'm going to ask you at the end of this class, what are you going to do this week, even if it's only one thing? Whatever step you're in your back to school journey, you might not have even started yet. That's cool. It doesn't matter. This question still applies to you. What are you going to do this week, even if it's only one thing? And we're going to talk about the 2% better rule. So think about that. Here's a question to get us started with this whole series. Okay, ready? What is the easiest, low energy, low prep, aka most practical way to be more proficiency oriented? And today we're going to talk about the emotion side of that with our colleagues. But here's the real question and the reason why we're doing this series, because this is real. If proficiency is better, why does it feel so dang hard? So that is what we're going to be focusing on with this whole series. And today we're going to be talking about this. What if my department isn't on board? So let's start talking about it. First of all, let's jump in here. Victoria is starting with CI kind of blended. Cool. That's a really good way to go. That's how I always did it. I was never a purist. I used to use old school methods as well as 50 to 60% proficiency style things, because that's what worked for me and allowed me to go home on time always. Is that what you mean with CI blended? I don't know. I'm kind of going off the cuff here, but I like that. So you're in a department of 5. So yeah, there's a lot of interplay with that. Victoria. Colleen says she's one of three, just starting CI this year. One colleague uses it as well. Oh, good, you got a support system. One is using traditional techniques. That's going to be an interesting triangle. I feel supported, but I need to learn all the things. I loved practical and comprehensible this summer. And thanks for reading my blog posts. Oh, you're so welcome, Colleen. Thanks for being a part of my community. I'm glad that this could be helpful to you. And yes, the conference was off the chain good. It was even better than the first one. And sneak peek, we're doing it again next summer. Okay. So keep your eye out for the wait list. I'm really excited. But my Nyla and I are already starting to plan. We're really excited. Okay. But let's get into this. Okay. So you already showed me some examples here that we got. Department of 5, department of 3. My favorite teaching situation ever. I was in a very large school. I had a department of 16 and they were amazing. Your working relationship with colleagues is way more important than trying to convince them the right way to teach. This is where people get this wrong. Just because you are using proficiency style methods, which has been across the board, I'm assuming that you're doing it because you've done your homework. You've read the blogs, you've read the research. Maybe you didn't, read the research because you don't have a lot of time as a teacher, but you know the research, you know that this is what ACTFL is asking of us, literally what ACTFL is asking of us. If you're an American teacher, or the CEFR, if you're following the European language model or anywhere else, they are no longer looking for, and that they really haven't ever looked for specific features of language being the focus of class. It's always been about the communicative game, and proficiency is by far the most efficient and effective way to get there. That's not really questioned anymore. What is questioned by teachers is whether that's actually attainable. So what I hope you're running into with your colleagues is the same types of problems that, I won't even call them problems, but the same types of friction that you might run into why they might not want to go down this path, is that honestly, it's difficult. There's not a lot of examples out there. Myself plus a few other people are some of the only people who provide free training on it. So it's very difficult to get to where you'd like to be with proficiency. And it's okay. Everybody's going to get there on their own time, because guess what? This is the direction that the whole world is moving towards in the world of world language. And it's actually fairly recent. Like, it's not really till the 20s or the 30s that the world woke up to the idea that we all need to be pretty decent at knowing languages. If you're on the northern hemisphere, I should say the North American continent, this is a pretty new awakening for us in terms of education. And it's really, really slow going to make progress. So please do not put it on your shoulders that you need to be somehow like the banner child for CI and convince people. Okay. Like, this isn't a cult. It's not your job to do that. Your job, guess what, is to be happy. And I can tell you, as well as many other teachers who made the switch and started doing some of these methods, that it's so much better. It's so much better. You get better results, faster results, but most importantly, it fills your practice back with joy. And that's the focus. The goal is not for you to make waves with your colleagues. So I really wouldn't. And I want to also give you some advice on this. There is absolutely no such thing as a purist. Doesn't exist. There's no such thing. What I mean by that is most teachers use lots of different approaches. So there's no like one size fits all idea of how you use or maximize comprehensible input in your class. Every single teacher uses comprehensible input every day. Every single teacher, whether they know it or not, because comprehensible input, the definition is really just any type of message that somebody receives and understands, and by many definitions is also compelling. So every teacher does that in some way, shape, or form. Some only do it 5% of the time, and some do it 90% of the time. And some teachers even do it 100% of the time. But Most teachers use lots of different approaches in order to make that work. The next thing I want you to think about, if you are in a position, because this is where it usually starts to get troubling, is when you have the pressure of, we have lots of different styles at the table, and students might start with me, but they're probably going to a very different style, either when they're jumping from my class in middle school to the high school. I've heard that a lot. Or if they're from my high school Spanish 1 course going to a Spanish 2 course. I've got to follow a certain curriculum. Also, I might have to make sure that they're prepped for the teacher coming after them, because who would ever want to put their students, their precious babies, in the situation where they're not going to be successful? Nobody. So ask yourself this: what are the things that you and your students like? And what are the things that you need to achieve in your classroom? And what are the requirements for your students to be successful for wherever they're going next? So I have an idea for you that works really well for this. Somebody actually just emailed me about this like 3 days ago. Ivelisse, this one's for you. If you're going to be working with a colleague and your people, your students need to be prepared for whatever might be coming their way, I highly recommend the good old fashioned, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks if you can swing it, like traditional teaching, grammar heavy boot camp, where you teach all of the features of language the way that you know so well how to do, and just check the block that you need to, so that when students move to the next thing, they're ready. They're ready for the next class. And here is my parting shot for you. Pick your proficiency battles. There are some things that matter more than others when it comes to being a better teacher, as well as being a happier teacher and being a more proficiency-oriented teacher. The thing that will make the most difference in your classroom is assessment. So if you are going into a department meeting and you are looking at the assessment that's being discussed for that week, and you're looking at it and you're like, this is not an equity-based assessment. This is something that, and so here's some ways that you can tell that it's not an equity-based assessment. It's based on study behaviors. So maybe some things that might be out of the control of the classroom environment, like things that students have to like take home flashcards for and be responsible for, and then produce answers for the next day. Like this happens a lot in a high school environment. Maybe you give a vocab list, and then 2 days later they're expected to, use the vocab in lots of different ways, and it's 30 terms. That's not an equity-based assessment. It has nothing to do with how smart your students are. That's something that they're clearly going to have to study for at home, and that's not equity friendly. So, because everybody has different home environments. So, only test on what has been done in class and what you can control for. And if you can, move it in a proficiency-oriented direction. So if you have, because I used to have like department-wide assessments that I had to use. So if we've got like a unit maybe based on weather, instead of doing just matching for the weather section, be like, hey, I volunteered to make these sentences. And the students have a word bank of sentences. And then what they have to do is put the weather term that matches the sentence in there. I volunteered to rewrite it, and then I'll make everybody copies and send it back out. Assessment first. Assessment first. If you're also in the situation where you're picking things for the beginning of the year, like you're maybe laying out your curriculum and you're trying to decide what goes and what stays and things like that, fight to get rid of multiple choice assessments and things like that, things that you know are like not proficiency oriented. If you don't know what is truly a proficiency oriented assessment or not, I got you. I got a class for you on that. It's going to be coming later on, so make sure that you check the schedule. Check the schedule for that. How are you feeling so far about these things? Let me know in the comments, whether you're live or on replay. How are you feeling about that? Pick your proficiency battles, fight for the things that matter, But above all things, remember that your happiness matters the most in your job. It does not matter, and it's not your job to try and convince your colleagues to join the crew. It is your job to be happy and to teach the way that you want to teach and you know is the best way to teach. That's your job. The last piece of advice that I have for you here is, we're doing good. We're right on time. Is be yourself. I put a picture of myself here because I always had a hard time doing this when I was first starting out with CI. There's no one who teaches like you. Not every method will work for you. And authenticity in the classroom, bravery as a teacher will always go above and beyond your planning, your materials, and your tools. You are enough to be a great teacher. You are enough as you are. Your results as well with your students will speak volumes. And you'll know that it's going really well when teachers start coming to you and asking you, what are you doing in your classroom that's so dang effective? That's what you should be looking for. Okay, so we're ready. Let's get at them. Put in the comments, or if you don't want to share, that's cool. You can think here. Think. Like Pooh Bear. What's going to be the one thing that you're doing this week? And let's talk about the 2% rule. 2% rule is my motto for this year because my motto is to be consistently better over time. I learned this lesson the hard way because I'm one of those people who's really intense, clearly. And I get really intense about an idea and I go all in and then I burn myself out. So I'm learning this new idea and it's really effective for me. It's become really effective for me in my training too, for my 10K. And I want it to be effective for you in your teaching. What's one thing that you're going to do this week to focus on being just 2% better every day? Just 2%, not 20%, 2%. Because 2% better every week adds up to being, let's say 30 to 40% more amazing by the end of the year. That's incredible in the teaching year. That's incredible. And that's way better than being 20% for 8 weeks, hating life for how much it's costing you, and then stopping for 3 weeks or 3 months, and then going back and then trying to start all over again. Momentum is way better. So I encourage you to pick something that you can do that's 2% better. And for this class is all about letting go of expectations of others as well as yourself. So maybe what's something that you're ready to let go of? Have you been expecting something of your colleagues that you're ready to let go of? Have you maybe been expecting something of yourself that you're ready to let go of? Oh, and that's my timer. We're doing good. Are you ready to let go of something? I know I'm ready to let go of this. I am ready to let go of the idea that I can't keep to a schedule. I did it. I'm so proud of myself. So tell me what's something that you're ready to let go of. And here's what's next. So I've got some ideas for you and some freebies since you are here. If you have been to other classes before, these might be familiar to you. Maybe you already have them. And if you're new, welcome. I have some goodies for you. So here are some things that I want you to check out that are really going to help you on your journey as you are getting new to CI. Here's the first thing. Number 1, download this magical thing called the Proficiency Gut Check. This is something that's going to help you with all of your lessons and all of your curriculum planning. It's a 2-page checklist that goes through if you're teaching learners that are on the track of being around the novice mid to novice high range. This gives you really simple language to check and make sure based off of the actual performance indicators. Is this lesson really based on proficiency? Am I hitting everything that I need to? Like, it gives you a really good just snapshot of where you're at in your teaching and where you need to fill in some gaps, especially some skills. So download the Proficiency Gut Check. It is at www.lalibrelanguagelearning.com/check. And I'm going to be putting all these links in the comments below so that you can get it. If you are one of those friends who would love to shave some time off of your planning and you're also really into self-care and taking care of yourself and having a more joyful experience teaching, then I would love to teach you the art of how to focus on the right things at the right time. I make these beautiful handmade planners for teachers, and you can try them out by getting some of the planner pages for free so you can see what they look like and start using the system that's inside there. There's also a whole class on that too. If you would like to watch that, I can put that in the comments as well. But download the priority planner page so that you can see how these bad boys work and what that system is, because that system is amazing. I use it every day. I'm using it right now, actually. And it helped me really cut a lot of time out of my workday and to have a more joyful experience teaching. So you can learn the system for yourself, and you could even write it down on some extra sheets of paper if you want. If you're not ready for a planner right now, that's fine. But it shows you and breaks down everything for you. And the last thing here is, if you are looking for some help with exactly how to like get from where you're at to where you want to be in proficiency, I got another freebie for you. It's called the World Language Teacher Toolkit, and it is 9 steps to proficiency, a nice little roadmap of exactly what steps you need to take and in what order, because sequence really matters. There's so much information out there about proficiency and about CI. This really breaks it down for you in what you should be looking at, in what stages and what times, so that you're doing this in a practical way that makes sense for your busy teaching life. And if you're ready to get down with curriculum, which is my favorite thing ever, I did a whole series like this on curriculum that gets real down and dirty on this. So I'll put in the link to the playlist on YouTube, and then come hang out with me on social at La Libre Language Learning and let me know what you thought of this class. And I'm excited to see you for the next one. You can tag me on Instagram, is my favorite place to hang out, and also to do these classes on Facebook. So y'all, that's class, man. We did it. We did it in 20 minutes too. Yes. So proud. Thanks y'all for being here. And I can't wait to hang out with y'all again next week. Bye for now.